can turn back now or learn the stuff they don't want you to know. Here are the facts. Earlier, we explored the story of the private security firm Blackwater, known as Academi today. Originally a trading service, Blackwater expanded after 9/11, filling roles traditionally played by the U.S. military. When the group came under congressional scrutiny, many Americans were made aware of private military corporations, or PMCs, for the first time. Critics argue that privatizing the Army has severe risk, including possible corruption and a lack of oversight. Advocates argue that PMCs have concrete benefits for taxpayers and the military. But while PMCs may be controversial, both critics and advocates agree they may also be the future of war. Here's where it gets crazy. History is littered with mercenaries, and according to scholars like Peter W. Singer, state-level militaries are a comparatively recent invention. In his book, Corporate Warriors: The Rise of the Privatized Military Industry, Singer divides PMCs into three types: military providers, or soldiers for hire, consultants, and logistical support companies, such as Halliburton. Logistical support isn't new. Brown and Root Services, or BRS, built roads, bases, harbors, and more for Vietnam from 1962 to 1972, and also worked in Zaire, Haiti, Somalia, Saudi Arabia, and more. Yet for decades, certain capabilities and intelligence assets were restricted to state militaries. Now it seems that private companies are taking increasingly assertive roles, and this business is growing. According to The Economist, the private soldier industry has gone global and is worth as much as $100 billion. Since 70% of these firms are British or American, let's take a closer look at the situation in the US. Privatization reached a new era of expansion under Dick Cheney. Working as the Secretary of Defense under George H.W. Bush, Cheney hired BRS to figure out what advantages private companies might have when integrated into warfare as part of a post-Cold War downsizing initiative called BRAC. The privatization push has grown since. As the U.S. military winds down operations in Iraq and Afghanistan, the Army plans to reduce troop size by 50,000 over 5 years, and the Marines aim to reduce their forces by 20,000 members. As soldiers and Marines exited Iraq, they were being replaced by PMCs. A company named DynCorp International began overseeing helicopters, while companies like the Global Strategies Group supplied security services. Academi is no longer allowed in Iraq, but it remains active in Afghanistan. PMCs are an international trend. Chinese workers in South Sudan, Angola, and other African areas pay private Chinese security services for protection. Muammar Gaddafi hired mercenaries before his death in October 2011. And, in the Philippines, some private armies have become a threat to national security. In November of 2012, the National Police Chief ordered all Filipino police forces to step up offensive actions against the Britannico Group and similar entities, as these groups may pose a threat to the 2013 elections. Protection is not inherently a bad thing, and security services are often necessary. Yet the regulations governing PMCs are unclear, and experts worry about spin-offs when a large PMC subcontracts to small, local groups. After the job ends, these local groups may sell their experience, training, and weaponry to the highest bidder. Who should be responsible for these groups after they're cut loose? Do the benefits of privatizing the world's militaries outweigh the risk? Who profits most from this arrangement? These questions will only become more important as the privatization of militaries across the world continues. But, according to critics and activists, the answers to these questions are the stuff that private armies and the politicians supporting them don't want you to know.